It is absolute chaos at Mar-a-Lago right now, as there are different factions of lawyers attacking each other right now. You've got a group of lawyers who, whether on their own or at Donald Trump's request, are leaking to CNN and other media that they are conducting an internal investigation into Boris Epstein, one of Donald Trump's other lawyers, who has kind of a senior advisor role. But you've seen Boris Epstein kind of sitting and standing right next to Donald Trump at, all of these legal cases. He's been with Donald Trump since 2016. He used to actually report to Michael Cohen, and now he basically had that kind of gatekeeper role. According to this other faction of lawyers who leaked this to the media, leaked this to CNN, because usually internal investigations are supposed to remain kind of quiet and confidential. They say that that Epstein may have been involved in a pay for play scheme, accepting money in order for access to Donald Trump, which, I mean, to me, I just assume that's what takes place in Trump's world. Now, Epstein denies that and says that there are just these other lawyers who are trying to basically take his place and Bigfoot him and kind of knock him out. But you have this fight, this power struggle going on right now. I want to bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds Substack. It's like, maybe other than MeidasPlus.com, Harry, you're my favorite Substack out there right now, because your experience. I mean, who has Harry's experience? He clerked for 2 Supreme Court justices. He was the United States Attorney, the top federal law enforcement officer in the Western District of Pennsylvania. You've held senior positions in the DOJ. You were on the 4th floor. You know how that's run. So you come with a unique perspective right here. So, Harry, what do you see is going on? Are these the 4th floor folks that Trump's putting in there, trying to get rid of the Mar-a-Lago folks?
Well, that's a really interesting point in and of itself. Like the 4th floor folks would be the Deputy Attorney General. That would be Todd Blanche. And by the way, you said about the Mar-a-Lago case, he's involved in it. And when they try to get rid of it, he probably ought to recuse. His first deputy is going to be that Sauer on the 5th floor, the Solicitor General. But Epstein, man, what a charmer. So, he was at the trial. I sat like right behind him. I don't mean to be puerile, but he's just got all these folds on his neck and he's always sweating. He's been about the most despised figure, not just now. So you're right, Ben. You can imagine it's like that Agatha Christie novel when somebody's killed and it turns out all 10 of them had some reason for plunging in the knife to different, depths. That is who Epstein is. They hated him in Mar-a-Lago because he tries to throw his considerable weight around based on being with Trump, but really doesn't have lawyerly chops. But what he's accused of doing, I'd say it's more than pay to play. What he's accused of doing, and there are several potential victims here. He does the reflexive, oh, it's all fake, it's all bullshit. But that's like what you hear from Trump world. Sure has the whiff of something more concrete to me than that. But he's basically going to people, sometimes soliciting them. Sometimes they come to him and say, you want to be this cabinet official? I'll tell you what, put me on retainer for 40 grand a month. 20 grand a month and I'll make it happen for you. And he's been involved. He was involved apparently with Hespeth. He's involved with someone who never got word one back from him. And he just, Epstein's took the money and ran. Now, look, if he were in government, this would be really scandalous, because who's the victim here? Ultimately, the American people, because he's supposedly giving Trump candid advice on the square of who should best serve, when instead the people he's recommending are who lines his own pockets. Of course, as you suggested, that's not so far from the normal modus operandi in Trump land. He's also probably committing fraud, to the extent he's going to people and say, you give me the money and I'll do all this stuff for you, and then he doesn't. But that's the least of it. What the worst thing here, and we're just going to be seeing this again and again and again and again, is people loyal to Trump, but also in Trump's image, they want to be rich too, are going to effectively shortchange Americans. That's what happens in all his emoluments clause violations. People stay in Trump Tower. He makes the money, and who really is the loser are the people who, the American people are supposed to have it work on the square. So Epstein is either cheating them and doing nothing, or more likely he's earning his money with advice to Trump that is just bogus, because the reason has nothing to do with the public interest, even his distorted view from the center of Trump land of the public interest, but just his own personal profit. What a perfect Trumpian, pre-inauguration kind of scheme.
This guy, Hugo Lowell, reporter,
he gets a lot of scoops. He does.
He's writing about this right now, and it's why I actually trust his reporting from inside the Trump White House or inside the Trump Mar-a-Lago. So he's saying, this is what he writes. He goes, knife fighting behind the scenes in Trump world over Boris Epstein saga is good stuff. Review was done by Dave Warrington, a Trump campaign lawyer who got passed over for White House counsel, which went to Bill McGinley, in part due to lobbying by Epstein. Warrington then came to learn about Epstein engaging in potential self-enrichment and finalized his review over the weekend, which included a memo to Eric Greitens, who also said Epstein shook him down. But Greitens' lawyer is Tim Parlatore, who also does not care for Epstein. Not care is probably putting it lightly. I think the guy hates Epstein.
Very lightly.
Anyway,
was it Parlatore who actually quit because he couldn't stand the sight of him? One of them did down in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, Parlatore. Anyway, Epstein was still part of Trump's orbit on Monday night, with Trump riding high on the news that Epstein's team had gotten the special counsel's case dismissed, even if Epstein may have been weakened. And then also reporting that, Tim Parlatore and others are making very serious, like the accusations against Epstein are that they're making. It's like he engaged potentially in honest services fraud. They're out for blood against this guy. And so it's not merely do an investigation. Like they want to lock this guy up. And he holds a lot of secrets in Trump world, Epstein. Epstein knows where the bodies are buried. He probably knows where the nuclear secrets are buried. He knows a lot because when Parlatore quit, Epstein was always by Trump's side.
He was on him like a carbuncle all during the trial, right behind him. Yeah.
A carbuncle are like those TikTok videos where they have the barnacles on the crabs and they cut them off, those ones that anyway.
Yeah. But I want to make one general point before we go. Remember, this happened in 2016, Ben. We went from no drama Obama to scandal after scandal, because that's what happens when you run a White House on personal profit and who's going to get their piece of the pie and all that kind of stuff. That leads naturally to that kind of sniping and there's no loyalty to the public mission. There's just loyalty to sort of personal agendas, starting with that of Donald Trump. That's why the whole place was such a snake pit. And we saw this starting in 2017, and man, oh man, it's going to be, it seems to me, even worse. That's what all the indications of these 3 weeks in November are, that we're looking at an even worse situation than 2017.
Harry Litman, it's the Talking Feds YouTube channel and the Talking Feds Substack. It's some good stuff, Harry.
Thanks, Ben.
You got to go and check. It's where I get my legal news from. So Harry, please come back. We'll talk about more stuff. You're the best.
Same to you. See you, Ben.
Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million here.
Hey, Midas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.